Nyansako Ni Nku, an ordained pastor of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, and I am retired now, having served the church as moderator during the last 10 years of my service in the church. I am married. My wife is called Grace. Both of us have 4 children who are young adults now. She herself used to work for the Ministry of Secondary Education. She studied in Furabe in Sierra Leone. And we live here for the past, this is our 5th year since we came here to Kumba after our retirement. I come from Kotobarumbi, an island village which is about 40-45 minutes away from here.
Can you please tell us a little bit about your hobbies?
Well, now I think my hobbies have been reduced to just reading and watching football. I spend a lot of time watching the European leagues, especially the English Premier League. And my wife seemed to have imbibed that interest also. So it's good that we don't have to fight in front of the television, struggling which program to watch when it comes to the football. We both like it.
What was your relationship with your parents when you were still a kid?
Well, listen, my father died when I was a very young fellow. I think I was about 4 or 5, just about to launch into primary school. So I didn't know much of my father besides what I hear from him. My mother and I had a fantastic relationship, which explains why I bear her name, Nyansako. I'm the 9th of 10 of her children. And so when my father died, me and my younger brother, who was just a toddler, spent very close time together with our mother and shared the same bed for a long time. So it was very, very good as far as parents were concerned. Later on in my life, as I started going to school, I stayed with my elder sister, who became like mother to me. And she and her husband were very kind and generous, trying to share scarce means with their own children and a host of extended family people. So that is what childhood meant.
Which school did you attend, primary and secondary, to be precise, and how did it affect your life after?
Well, I think schools then were not many, but you know, school life at that time, you had to travel long distances to go to school. At one time when we were attending school here, we had to trek from the village in Kumba. That's a whole day's trek. But you know, school then was difficult because of these factors of trekking long distances. And but I think it was good also in the sense that the classes were small. The class was not supposed to exceed 35. So there was a strong bonding relationship between classmates because you knew every one of them and every one of them knew you. I happened to be very small in primary school, even later on. Since school age was not as strict as it is now, I remember that I was in class with people who already had wives at home. And when, for instance, we were going to play football, these big boys will carry me, or some of the big girls will carry me just like their little children. Yes. So that is what school meant. And in those days, people were a little bit more honest. So friends were friends. They have good friends. You could travel with a friend to your parents' village and they will accommodate you for the holiday season or for a weekend. And I think we still have those fond memories. They were good.
And what was your relationship, exactly precise, with the teachers?
I think it was good because I seemed to be very good in the arts, in history, and English, and it was good for teachers to have a smart kid who was considered smart. But I was terribly bad at mathematics, and so that brought me into. It was always agony when the period of mathematics came up. And those days we were being taught mathematics as if it was meant for very, very special smart children. And those of us who were not able to follow as quickly as others could or as a teacher expected were regarded by those teachers as not being terribly smart. And so we were not liked upon at all. That was a little bit painful. Now, with later years and having grown and have my children, I realized that we just suffered for nothing because the fault was not many times the fault of the student, but the fault of the teacher. I have my children were not very fond of mathematics either, but now I am amazed that one of them, and she is one of those who really hated mathematics while here. But she's working as a banker in one of the greatest banks in the United States in America, and her master's degree is in finance and banking. And she herself told me that, you see, at home, they still present mathematics as some kind of mystery. But here in the US, it's so demystified and so well taught that she herself said it was amazing that she could score good grades in maths and grow up to become a finance officer, a banker.
So that you talked already about some challenges. We want you to reiterate on some of the challenges you faced as
the challenges, like I said, my father died. My mother was a peasant woman with many children to take care of.